So I woke up this morning and I was reading about Solomon, and it was a good word. I mean, it was talking about God had told Solomon to obey him. As long as he obeyed him, that there would be no harm to Israel. He would just continue to order their steps out of his obedience. And but Solomon ended up disobeying because he had an obsession with the women from other religions and things like that. But God had told him, stay away from them because they're gonna pull him away from God. And so I was reading that, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the New Testament because I've been trying to read Solomon, First Kings, and I read about Solomon and the wisdom, But even with his wisdom, it was like he's still human, just like his father. Even though his father David, he messed up, he's still human, but he was still um, a man after God's own heart. Anyway, so I was flipping, and I was like, okay, I wanted to read something in the New Testament. Well, I ended up flipping to. I'm reading like the Message Bible. It's probably backwards, but anyway, I was reading the Message Bible, and I like to go back and forth because I like how it breaks it down in like the contemporary terms. Anyway, the title of the subsection, and that's the other thing about the Message Bible I like, is like their subtitles are very like, oh wow, I need that, I need to read that kind of things. Um, anyway, so I'm gonna read it to you. I'm gonna read the whole thing, but it was just really really awesome to me. When I got to, I'm just gonna read from verse 1 to 10, and that way I'll kind of give you, and then I'll harp more on the end part. Anyway, okay. You force me to talk this way, and I do it against my better judgment. But now that we're at it, I am as well, I may as well bring up the matter of visions and revelations that God gave me. For instance, I know a man who 14 years ago was seized by Christ and swept into ecstasy to the heights of heaven. I really don't know of if it took place in the body or out of the body. Only God knows. And I like that he like says that. That only God knows. So many times we try to figure out like, oh, like is it this way or is it that way? And we try to fathom things ourselves, but sometimes only God is gonna know, and we have to be okay with that. I also know that this man was hijacked into paradise again, whether in or out of the body, I don't know. God knows. There he heard the unspeakable spoken, but was forbidden to tell what he heard. This is the man I want to talk about. But about myself, I'm not saying any another word apart from humiliations. And here we go. If I had a mind to brag a little, I could probably do it without looking ridiculous, and I'd still be speaking plain truth all the way. But I'll spare you. I don't want anyone imagining me as anything other than the fool you've encountered if you saw me on the street or heard me talk. But because of the extravagance of those revelations, and so I won't get a big head, I was given the gift of a handicap to keep me in constant touch with my limitations. And I was like, oh my God, because like for me with singing, like I always seem to get hoarse or sick before I have to minister or something. Or before we're about to do something, I always like something always seems to happen. And it's like it causes me to rely completely on God and not on my own strength. And so Satan's angels did his best to get me down when I in fact did what he indeed, excuse me, what he in fact did was push me to my knees. No danger then of walking around high and mighty. At first I didn't think of it as a gift and begged God to remove it. 3 times I did that. And then he told me, my grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. And last Sunday, I was so exhausted. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And right before we went up to minister, through worship and praise and worship, and I was talking to some of the ladies like on the left side of the sanctuary, and I was just like, and one of my mentors, Miss Carol, was there, and I said, oh, I was like, I'm gonna need you guys to really like, I need your energy, and she goes, well, it was never up to us anyway. And it kind of humbled me a little bit because I was like, oh yeah, and she says, a lot of times when God uses us sometimes the most is when it's not on our own strength, of course. It's like when we are weak and when we are tired, and that's when because we're available. And I was just like, oh, that really stuck with me. So it says, once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in my weakness. Now I take limitations in stride and with good cheer. These limitations that cut me down to size, abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks. I just let Christ take over, and so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. Be encouraged. Know that He is our strength when we are weak. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And I really just wanted to encourage you guys with that. Thanks for watching. If you have, be encouraged. And I think I'm going to try to do this. This will kind of motivate me to read the word, and then I can share what I've learned with you guys. So know that His word is the living word, and it will meet you right where you are. God bless.